My God, I am yours for time and eternity. Lord, I am yours forever. It is you must teach me to trust in your providence, loving Lord.
We have heard a lot about Catherine over the years, how she started our congregation and how she spent her time spreading the word. But this afternoon, I would like to concentrate a bit on her humour. She said on one occasion, "I sometimes wish we could form a little foolish party who common sense would loudly scorn and aim at laughing happily." She said that in a letter to Elizabeth Moore in Limerick. And I think from what was said at other times, she found Elizabeth a bit too serious. And that's why she wanted her to take things a bit lightly. We know that Catherine had many difficulties in her life. She was often short of money. She was often had difficulties with people she was working with. She had a lot of trouble, as we know, with the chaplaincy in Baggot Street. But in spite of all that, Catherine managed to convey a lightness. The novices in 1835 wrote to Catherine, "Dear Reverend Mother, our cook and your namesake wants to compose a most beautiful tea cake, for materials of which it will be needful to pay, and therefore for cash your petitioners pray." Now, many superiors would answer that in various ways, but Catherine responded in a similar style. "Early this morning, when leaving the choir, I did anticipate this, your desire, and sent out an order in time to bespeak what I hope you will find a very nice cake." My own favourite story was something that Catherine wrote on the 2nd of July, 1836, to Sister Mary Delamere, a novice in the Tullamore convent, where Sister Mary Ann Doyle was superior. It goes like this. "If I write to mention the day we propose going, you might contrive to put the clock out of order, though that would be almost a pity. By some means we must have till 10 o'clock every night, not a moment's silence until we are asleep, not to be disturbed until we are awake. Take care to have the key of the cross door, and when those who are not so happily disposed go into choir, we can lock them in until breakfast. I fear Sister Mary Clare will join the Divine Mother. She is getting rather too good for my taste. Sister Catherine, who was Barnwell, a postulant, is according to our own heart, and surely Sister Eliza will not desert us. If Mrs. Doyle should complain about us to the bishop, remember you and I are safe, because we are not of his flock, and we belong to a different diocese." Later she said, "We will set up for a week what is called a nonsensical club. I will be president, and you vice president, and Catherine can give a lecture as a professor of folly." Catherine, throughout her life, had a sense of fun, a sense of balance in her life. On another occasion, she was telling about her return to George's Hill Convent, where she had been as a postulant, as a novice. And she writes this: "We visited our old George's Hill. They were delighted, and so was I. I said I would kiss the chairs and table, but by some mistake I kissed a grand new chair in the parlour. However, I managed, as Ducky Mary Quinn used to. I took it back, the kiss, and brought up the old rush chair I used to sit on in the noviceship." You think Catherine was too flippant for a religious life? I don't. Catherine wrote to Elizabeth Moore to describe what happened in Bermondsey when she arrived for the reception of the new novices after she opened the Bermondsey convent. And she went to Barbara Eyre's, Lady Barbara Eyre's room with a parcel that had been delivered. And she says, "Lady Barbara was my charge this morning. I went to her cell and said in a disguised voice, 'Please, your ladyship, Mr. Truffet is come.' She was at the other side of the bed, didn't see me, and said, 'Take down the box of feathers and diamonds.' When she discovered her mistake, she was sincerely distressed, as you can imagine, and she said, 'Oh, what shall I do? It is to Reverend Mother I have spoken.'" From Galway, Catherine sent an account to Baggot Street, and her spirituality shone through, as did her sense of humour. Again, she often took to poetry when she wanted to comment on something. "My dearest sisters, kind and sweet, though 'tis not long until we meet, I'll tell you all that may perhaps amusement give, but nothing that could pain or grieve. Oh, not at all. In truth, we have been greatly spared, and very well so far have fared. Not one cold frown were this to last, we'd suffered loss, since independent of the cross, there is no crown." Catherine also wrote to Sister Aloysius in Bar in July 1841. A novice from Scotland had come, Eliza Munro, and she thought she needed to bring linen, and brought 12 pairs of sheets, 12 tablecloths, and 24 napkins. In the same letter, Catherine wrote, "We expect on Tuesday Miss Murray of Sheep Walk, County Wicklow, niece to the bishop, and another not yet ready. So we shall have heads for considering caps before the present owners or occupiers get the cap of wisdom," which was the veil. Other parts of her letters have serious matters to talk about. When she was in Birmingham, she wrote a PS on the letter which said, "Take care of my last born Bar." Mother Vincent Harnett, who was a good friend of Catherine, in the Limerick manuscript wrote, "Being of a remarkable cheerful disposition, She loved to see all under her charge cheerful and happy. She tried to make them so, not only by removing what could disturb their peace, but also by contributing to the general cheerfulness of the community, especially at recreation. Although burdened with many cares, she was at that duty as lively and merry as the youngest sisters, who used to delight in being near her, listening to her amusing remarks and anecdotes. She had a talent for composing verses and for lightening the situation. So I would like now to take a break for a few minutes and to ask you to reflect on a question. How well balanced was Catherine's life, prayer, work, recreation, and to ask yourselves, is my life balanced? Is our life balanced? Thank you. We'll be back in a few minutes to continue. Catherine McAuley and her humour continued. Catherine had a most cheerful style and a playful style, and she would often sing them in a tune with admirable simplicity. And yet within that, there were solid instructions to her sisters. The second was her parting advice to a newly appointed Reverend Mother, and the first was in a reply to some verses she had received. So we'll start with the second one. Catherine finishes with the following advice. Let us smile under every privation that religion has strewn in our way. All coldness and choler we'll smother, and watchful shun its dejection. We will cordially love one another, since that is the mark of election. She also said of having spoken of high time as the stern foe of our beauty and youth, which he steals as he passes along. That's the stern foe of our beauty and youth, which he steals as he passes along. And I think most of us, if we looked back at our photographs from early years, would be able to say, yes, it was a stern foe of our beauty and youth. Although I'm sure there are some who feel they're as beautiful as ever, or that they have improved with the years. We're fairly familiar with what Catherine said to Elizabeth Moore in Limerick, having heard it many times over the years. But it is great advice, and Catherine was worried that Elizabeth was taking life too seriously and that she was too rigid in her views. Don't let crosses vex or tease. Try to meet all with peace and ease. Notice the faults of every day, but often in a playful way. And when you seriously complain, let it be known to give you pain. Attend to one thing at a time. You've 15 hours from 6 to 9. Be mild and sweet in all your ways. Now and again, bestow some praise. Avoid all serious declaration, all serious close investigation. Turn what you can into a jest, and with few words dismiss the rest. Keep patience ever at your side. You'll want it for a constant guide. Show fond affection every day, and above all, devoutly pray that God may give the charge he's given and make of you their guide to heaven. So here again, Catherine is encouraging us to have a balance in our lives and not to take ourselves too seriously and to have some fun and some lightness. And at times when there are difficult things to be said or difficult corrections to be given, don't over exaggerate them. Keep it light if you can, and always remember to respect the other. I think maybe sometimes some of our former novice mistresses might have forgotten some of that. And the original rule and constitutions also reminds us to be cheerful. Not that we can be cheerful all the time, because there will be sadness in all our lives. But this is in the original rule and constitutions. As the most acceptable return a benefactor can receive from those on whom he bestows favours is a countenance testifying the gratitude of the heart. How acceptable must it be to God when we make him this return, showing to all by our cheerful, happy countenance the gratitude with which our hearts overflow towards him for his many favours in this life and great promises in the life to come. And I remember many years ago when I was in Hull, one of the lecturers said to us something to us one day, and I forget what he said, and I said, I suppose you think we're very silly or something. And his answer was, well, when I have seen some of the faces of religious, I think it can't be a happy life for them, because they're so serious that they wouldn't crack a smile. So Catherine was there before us. She had, as I said, a good balance in her life. And I hope and pray that we will have that as well as we go forward into the future. Thank you for listening. I hope you've enjoyed Catherine's humour and that it has helped you to think, well, let's try and get a balance in our lives too. Goodbye. God bless.
My God, I am yours for time and eternity. Lord, I am yours forever. It is you must teach me to trust in your providence, loving Lord. You are God of love and tenderness. I place my trust in you, and I ask that you grant me acceptance to trust in your providence, loving Lord. Take from my heart all painful anxiety. Let nothing sadden me but sin, and then let my delight be hoping to see your face, loving Lord. My God, I am yours for time and eternity. Lord, I am yours forever. It is you must teach me to trust in your providence, Lord.